Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Getting started on a new project. I've been wanting to build a traditional, like super simple shaker end table, small little end table, since I was a kid. Watching Norm Abrams and all the shaker furniture that he did. Just something about that little end table, the most basic, simple end table, always fascinated me, and I've always wanted to make one. I've just never had a chance, right? So like, you start getting into woodworking, and it seems like such a simple project that I moved on from it early on, and I started doing stuff that's more complicated. But I've always wanted to just do one. So I'm just gonna get started and start. I'm gonna start by gluing up the top. The three pieces to make one big top. It's going to be 18 by 18. So let's start there. So I'm going to start gluing these up. And as you can see, I've selected these three boards. And I've tried to make it so that the grain matches in an interesting way. I definitely wanted this in the center, which having all this curl makes it hard to find boards that sort of match grain-wise. But this one here is matching pretty good here. Obviously here it gets a little tough. And then this board has a little bit of that curl or wavy grain up there anyways. And you know, the color is not matching exactly. I tried other positions, but none of them really worked. I even tried flipping it. That one wasn't horrible because it had this kind of like circular thing. But I finally decided I like this the best with these waves. And then I do like the two knots. And then this one has a couple of little holes right there that I might still need to fill in. So I'm just going to start gluing these up. I'm using hide glue or liquid hide glue, the Type Bond kind. I really like this type of glue. I like this glue better than PVA for some reason. Added benefit, it's a hell of a lot easier to clean off than PVA. And of course it's, you know, what do you call it? Fixable, I guess you can say. Like if in the future you need to fix something, you take it apart, you can still take this glue apart by adding some heat to it. And this glue is very interesting. If it's really hot out, it basically becomes super runny, you know. But when it's not super hot out like it is now, it's in the 70s, it actually is sort of like a honey consistency, and I like that. I like that consistency. I wonder if these will be long enough. I don't know. Well, maybe barely. Yeah, barely. I'm going to work on the legs next. I've done one, at least to a certain point. Basically the legs are just, I think they're 1.25 inches square, and they are, how long are they? They are 26.5 inches long, right? They get tapered on two sides. Here's my example. So it's almost hard to tell on what sides they're tapered, but basically they get tapered on the two inside sides, inside sides of the leg. So I'm going to be using this very simple tapering jig. It's just a plywood jig where the blocks are set at the angle I want, and you know, it'll start to cut down there, and then somewhere around here it won't cut anymore, so that'll create that taper. And then I just rotate it, locks on with these things. Fairly simple tapering jig. Just run it through the table saw like this. And it should do the trick, and then we'll clean it up with the hand plane. So let's get started. So as you saw, the table saw makes pretty quick work of the initial cuts for these legs. So a couple of things I forgot to mention. One was make sure you keep your first off cut, because so when you first put it like this, right, it cuts off at an angle. So when you turn it, that angle, that little lock clip isn't long enough to hold this. So you just put that off cut there just to give it some packing to be able to clamp down. And that's basically it. I mean, these legs are essentially done except for final cleanup, which I'm going to do with a hand plane. The trick is I'm putting my blade right at my line, and you'll see is it rests flat on the back, but in this case I don't want it to rest flat in the back. I actually want it, I have to push it down in the front so that it's using this angle. So I'm putting it right there, pushing down, and then taking my slice. And I'm almost done. Taking really thin shavings. And that's done. So I'm going to take one up here just to clean up the top. This one, I have to make sure that I'm holding it flat on the back, not on the front. And if you could feel that, you'd be amazed. I love the way hand planes leave the wood. I don't know if you can see it, but it is super smooth. And then we do the same for all the other sides. I've started working on the aprons. It's funny because I'm only cleaning up one side because you never see the inside. But basically these are just cut real simply, you know, they're just, let me see, forget what size they are. I know they're 5 inches in, I'm guessing this is going to be like the height, what we're going to call that. And they are 11 3/4 wide by about 3/4 of an inch. The front, I did something very interesting. When I originally cut this board, right, so I cut it to the right length, and I cut it, actually I left it a little wide this way, because what happens with the drawer front, I wanted it to be one piece, right? So once you have it nice and cleaned up, you just slice off the top and the bottom, and then this becomes your drawer. So these become your rails, and then this will become the drawer front. The idea of it is that, you know, the grain all matches. All right, so now that I have the mortises for all the side pieces, for all and the back piece and the two front pieces, in this case I'm using slightly larger dominoes / tenons than, how do I explain this? So if the tenon goes in like this, right, it'll go halfway, and then the tenon on the other side will go in halfway. They'll technically meet. So what I like to do is I'm going to do the two sides first, put them in, glue them up, get them ready, and then cut the mortises into the side pieces for the front and back piece. And what it'll do is the domino will actually cut through the other domino and shave it down so that the new domino will fit in. So I'm just going to glue up the tenons and let that set up, and then we'll start all the mortises. All right, well those are glued in. I'm going to let them sit for a little while, and then we'll come back and work on the mortises for these. Okay, so we got the mortises in on the legs. So these, if I'm not mistaken, will go like this. There we go. And so that'll make one side assembly like that, see? Then once this is glued in and dried up, I can make the mortises so that in case it does touch the tenons from the side pieces, it'll dig right through them, like we talked about. So, all right. Well, I'm gonna do the side pieces, and then we'll go from there. So this should be pretty simple. It's just a matter of putting some glue in here. Should all be flush at the bottom. I'll put the clamps on, and then we'll check it. And we'll, persuade it to be perfect. So there's one clamp. Feels pretty flush, but once I put the other clamp on there, I'll make sure. Okay, so now this part right here should be flush. This one feels like it's just a tiny bit. So there we go. There's the side piece. And I'll do the other one. Say hi. Say hi. Say hello. Hi camera. Hi people. This is my dog Gadget. We lost Gizmo. I'm sure you met Gizmo before, but we lost Gizmo this year, so he's been a little sad. We lost him about a couple weeks ago. But he's doing better. You're doing okay, buddy. Good boy. Yeah, that was a rough blow. Losing my dog. Okay, so take the clamps off, and now we get to see how it's looking. So essentially we got the two sides, and now I'm going to cut the mortises for the front and back. Looks like I'm off by about, what is that, like half a 16th, so a 32nd? That's not too bad. Because there is fluctuation in the legs, but I want to check my parallels again, because that's, like I said, that's the important part. So we're at just under 314. Just under 314, so it's pretty damn close. It's pretty good. Stable. Huh. It's looking good. Let that dry for a while. So it's been about maybe 2 hours. That should be enough time to have that glue dry. So I'm going to take the clamps off. That worked out quite well. I like it. I'm going to hand plane this top piece just to get it flush. And then really we'll be working on the top and the drawer. And looks like Maverick wants to say hi. Come here, bud. Come say hi. How about? Oh, hi. Say hi. Oh. Come here. Oh, you're getting very big. This is our new puppy. This is Maverick. Hi, Maverick. That's Shavi. He's visiting. But this is Maverick. Oh, you look scared. You look scared. Go ahead, guys. Go outside. Go. Go, buddy. So, to plane this flush, thinking I can hold it in here. Like this. Yeah, that'll work. That'll hold it nice and tight. And then I can just flush this up. All right, so back to working on the top. I'm going to essentially chamfer the bottom side pretty big, about 1.5 inches, so that the side ends up being about 1/4 inch total thickness. So let me show you what I did here. Since I had to angle the blade at a weird angle to match this, I couldn't use my table insert, so I had to use the original one, but the original one has such a big gap that it left a big hole. So I put this piece of 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch maybe, 1/4 inch, 3/16 inch MDF as a zero clearance. And now I'm going to run this over like this, and I've matched the angle, so should work, and then we'll do final passes with the hand plane. Looks like I blew a circuit. All right, well, let's try that again. All right, looks like we're back. That was fun, as you saw. Popped the breaker like 3 times. It happens to me all the time. That table saw is somewhat underpowered, and cutting hardwood and you know, pushing the limits. I have the wrong blade on there. I have a really 60-tooth blade on there that obviously is not made for this. But I didn't feel like changing it out, so I live with the consequences. But you know what? Got it done. It's to the lines. It's got some burning. It's got some stair stepping here, which, you know, we'll have to clean up. I'm a little out of shape, I guess. That worked out though. Show you in a second. Let me put this away. I know you probably noticed I was using the number 5, the big one, and I had to switch over to the number 3 because there was a spot where the table saw left a like when the power went out, the table saw stopped. So when I brought it back in, it had left a step. And with the large plane, the reference surface, I wasn't able to cut down that step. So I had to take out the smaller one to get down the step, which has a shorter reference length. So I was able to get the step off, and then I was able to finish it off with the large hand plane. Looks pretty good. So that'll add a little lightness to that table. Let me bring the table over. So this let's see. I believe I'm going to use the knot towards the back. So, I'm not sure yet. The knot might go to the front depending on what it looks like once I get it in. But, you know, something like that. Gives it that nice taper, nice airy feel to it. I have this set for the edge of this. So I just mark the initial ones with this one, this set of dividers. These dividers I have set to step off 3. So I put it in this side, mark 1, mark 2, and there's a little gap there. That's the gap between the pins. So then I move it. Now I put it in this one, mark 1, mark 2. And what you'll see is I have 1 dot here, 1 dot here, 2 dots here, and 2 dots here. And that represents the pins, right? So I'm making tails. I'm marking tails, but this represents, the spaces represent the pins. So as I draw them, so I marked all the ones angled that way, which is this side, and now I'm marking all the ones angled the other way. And then of course the inside of this is the waist. The edges are the waist. This all gets cut off. This all gets cut off. Luckily, this pine is so soft, doesn't take much to break it off. I just have to be very careful not to bruise it all. Because while it's easy to chop because it's so soft, it also makes it easy to bruise the sides. A little worried because I cut the groove for the drawer bottom really close to this pin edge. I should have cut it a little higher up, or I should have made the edge pin just a little smaller. On the back it doesn't matter because it gets cut off anyways, because the back one just fits underneath it. And in the front one it almost doesn't matter because it's contained within the half blind, but that's going to break off. I'm almost sure of it. And I don't think you'll be able to see it, but I gotta be careful with it. All right, moment of truth, I guess. Ooh. Usually I would have thought it would be a little tighter. Well, not perfect, but it's not bad. I mean, once I put glue in there. All right, let's glue it up. No guts, no glory, right? Okay. So I took it out of the clamps. Did you guys catch the mistake while I was gluing this up in the last clip? So I glued it all up. You know, I was like, okay, fine, it looks good. I checked it for a square. I went in the house. Never even realizing. I came back out just to check on glue squeeze out and to clean up some glue squeeze out and stuff. And I realized I had put the front on backwards, or upside down, I guess you could call it, with the groove on the top. Never realized it. I mean, I glued it up, I checked it. The weird thing is the dovetails fit, which, whatever, they fit. But when I came back, I saw it, and because I was starting to think about what I'm going to do for the bottom. And I looked and I'm like, oh crap. Now, it had only been like 15 minutes maybe. Luckily, the hide glue has a little bit of a longer working time. So I was able to get it off, separate it, and re-glue it. The problem is now I got a lot of glue squeeze out because I was rushing at that point, because I was, you know, freaking out because I had done it wrong. And luckily when I pulled it out, some of the pine flaked off, like broke off, but only on the inside of the joint. So on the outside, nothing, it was perfect. On the inside, where it's touching the back of this, some of those like fibers broke off into the cherry. So I just cleaned all that out, re-put in the glue, re-glued it correctly this time. It's fitting pretty well. That initial getting it in there, you know, it's tight, so it's a little loose, but once it gets in there, and then it also tips, so I'm wondering if I need to put a rail at the top just to hold it from tipping. It's not going to go anywhere because once the top, the actual tabletop is on there, it won't let it, but I don't know, like, I know this is normal, but I'm just wondering if I should just put a rail to clean that up. And then, so, slides in pretty easy. So I put the inside in. I did spray the inside of the drawer with some shellac. I like to use shellac on the inside of the drawer. It, you know, it protects it enough from the amount of use that the inside of drawers gets. The outside is all going to be a different finish, but the inside of drawers I like to use something a little stronger. The bottom, I already had these prepared, so I just used that. But the inside of the drawer I just sprayed with some shellac, simple 2 coats. I still need to put the screws on this to hold this into the thing, but basically the drawer's finalized. I might need to just clean this up a little bit and add the pull. Also, I don't know if you can see this, but in the back of this, I put 2 screws that you can adjust as stops for this. I'm not sure that's the way I'm going to go to finalize with it, but you know, it might be better to have a strip back there, but I kind of like the idea of adjustability. And so it fits perfect. They stop, you know, the 2 screws stop it right where I want. So this is flush. I finally got my reveals, my top and bottom reveals, pretty close to what I want. It's enough space for movement. So that looks pretty good, and they seem to be pretty even. So I took a quick trip to Liz's Antique Hardware here in LA. If you live in LA and you like antique hardware, that's the place to go, man. They have some amazing stuff. But I found this really cool drawer pull. Super simple. It's just a cone shape. Let me pull it off of here. That shape right there, I don't know if you can see it. It's a pretty great shape for something like this. It's really simple, but it works and it looks really nice. I really dug it. So I put it on there. All right, now for the most fun part, right? This is my favorite part, obviously. I think it's everybody's favorite part. I did get some splotchiness in here, which I'm a little worried about the top, but I don't know what I was expecting with this much curl on here. I'm wondering if I should seal coat it first. We'll just live with it. How's that? I did say that this curl was going to be a important piece of this tabletop, so you know, curl blotches a little bit, so I'm going to live with it. Mainly because I don't really feel like doing a coat of shellac or something first. As long as it looks good, I don't mind. Now I'm looking at it, it does, technically it is getting blotchy, but, and I'll lift it up in a second, but it looks pretty cool because of the curl. So I got lucky in that sense. I mean, I was literally winging it right now, but I'll show you in a second what I mean. So technically, you see, I hope you can see it, but technically that blotched up with this finish. Not super bad, but it's actually bringing out that curl, so it doesn't, well, at least to my eye, it doesn't look bad. You know, everybody's going to have different opinions, and, you know, everybody's entitled to their opinion. right, let me put the drawer in. Oh, I forgot the drawer knob. One of my favorite pieces is this tiny little drawer knob that I found at that antique hardware store. There we go. All right, let's put this in. Let's take a look. There it is. Slides smooth. I'm still going to put a little waxing on the rails. I hope you enjoyed this build with me. I know it's been a while, but you know, it's been a kind of weird year, so hoping to get back into the scheme of things and get more builds out there. But you know, please like, subscribe, share, all the good stuff. You know, the standard YouTube stuff. This was a lot of fun project. If anybody wants to tackle this project, it's super accessible. It's easy. It's not super complicated. It's got its parts that, you know, can get a little complicated and it'll teach you some stuff, but it's really not. You know, the taper into the legs is simple enough depending on how you're doing it. Everything is relatively simple. It's just a matter of getting the details really right, you know, like just being extra careful with everything, because every single little detail on this, since it is so simple, all those little details are what makes it what it is, you know. So it's all in the details with this one. It's a great design, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I had a blast.